Hey, how's everybody doing? It's Matt McNeil coming to you from the garage. And I am currently finishing up Ed Wolf's numbers 13 through 18. This guy's got his teeth in. I have not glued his tongue in. His eyes are just roughed in, but I've started finishing the final painting. And now that I've got his eyeballs in and his teeth glued in, I'm going to come in for another pass of epoxy, maybe some sweat, a little bit of nose moisture. Don't want to go too much because his nose isn't completely wet in the movie, but he is a little bit sweaty, so I'll come back and do all of that good stuff. So yeah, I got this guy, and that guy, and this guy, and that guy, and this guy, and that guy. But what I wanted to talk to you really quick about is everybody wants to talk about the masks, but it's like, how do you display them? And so I make these stands, and I figured I would just show you what I buy in order to make stands. And this stuff literally comes from Michael's. This is an 8-inch Art Minds pine plaque. And if you buy them one at a time, I think they're like $7 a piece or maybe $8 a piece. But if you go on their website, you can buy them in bulk. And I think you get like 6 for $33. So it makes it a lot cheaper, particularly if you've got multiple masks to display, or you start making these to sell, because they're not that difficult to make. They're a little tedious, particularly if you're designing a vinyl design for them. And that's what I do ultimately, is I cut out a vinyl decal that goes on here, and then I epoxy them. But the raw materials basically is this. And so I order these from Michael's. And then I just get a dowel. Oh, got a little wig thing on there. You get a wooden dowel. And I paint these black. I paint these usually red. And then I do my decals in black. And in the case of the Lost Boys one, I did have the letters Lost Boys in white, which was an additional step, but it was pretty cool. But usually they're just a couple of colors. And literally you drill a hole somewhere, just a little bit north of center, because if you put it in the center, you're going to cover up the majority of your design. But if you set it back just a little bit, it'll still support the weight of a mask, even one that's that big. And you can make a pretty good display stand. Now, the secret to these obviously come in packages and are specifically made as plaques or whatever, as wooden circles. You can buy dowel rods from Michael's or from the hardware store or something like that, but they tend to be more expensive than a closet rod. And so what I do is I'll buy like a 72-inch, I think is the biggest one you can get, 72-inch closet rod. And I cut them into 12-inch or 14-inch lengths, depending on the mask, what I'm displaying. And I spray paint them black. Actually, I spray them first. I spray the whole rod black, and then I cut them into segments. And I'll come back and touch up the ends or whatever. This end will go down, so you won't see it. But yeah, and then I just screw it all together, and then you get 2-part epoxy. You can get this epoxy from Michael's or from Famo Wood. You can get it's called Famo Wood from Lowe's, and it's a 2-part epoxy, and you mix it 1-to-1. Is it 1-to-1? Yeah, it's 1-to-1. And you mix it, and you have to stir it for like 6 minutes, and then you come back and then you coat everything. You hit it with a heat gun or a little bit of something hot, like some people use a propane torch. Some people use like one of those lighters or whatever to pop all the extra bubbles or whatnot. I use a heat gun, and you just let it cure. And when I let it cure, I always elevate it. Like I'll take some Dixie cups and put it underneath, so that all the extra resin will run off and not stick it to. I put a paper plate with 3 Dixie cups, and then I set the stand on there so that the plate catches all the additional resin. This piece of wood doesn't stick to the plate, and then you'll have like a really nice kind of finished stand. And again, there's all kinds of things that you can do for decorating them. You can hand paint them. For my Eddie Quist one, I painted the smiley face. I painted it yellow. I painted the smiley face in black, and then I hit it with a bunch of permablood, so that it has like a blood spatter on it, like in the scene in the porn theater where he gets shot. Spoiler alert. Uh, so I hit it with that, and then I got my two-part epoxy, and it looks fantastic. The one thing that I will tell you, though, is if you screw this together and then you do the epoxy all over everything, the acrylic resin or whatever, you got to be really careful about where these two places meet. You got to make sure your screw's nice and tight. Otherwise, the motion here can lift the acrylic there. So if you're worried about that, the reality is you're never gonna really see that far back. And the smart money would probably be to acrylic this and this separately, or paint this with a gloss clear coat and then put everything together. But I really kind of like the way that the acrylic resin makes like this kind of like makes it feel like it's all one piece. It's a really kind of neat look. But anyway, there. So yeah, you can create a vinyl decal. I have a Cricut machine from Michaels, and I build stuff in Photoshop, and then I have my daughter print them in what they call weed, which is where you pull out all the extra superfluous vinyl, and then she puts them on there, and then I sort of assemble it all together. But for the most part, this is the brass tacks of how it all goes together. Oh, and one other thing that you could do, and I haven't done this yet, but I think that I could probably 3D print, a design here and put it. This is one of the plaques for the back of the Evil Ed Wolf for the neck, but like literally, I could probably print, the Lost Boys or Fright Night. But flat, and put that on top of this, and then put my resin, and then you would end up with a three-dimensional thing in the stand too. So anybody's got a 3D printer, I think that could be a cool idea. But yeah, so you can hand paint these, you can cut out things with a Cricut or a vinyl cutter, or you could actually put three-dimensional things in it in order to get another kind of look. But the basic structure of this is just a dowel rod, these plaques that you can get from Michaels, and I'm telling you, buy them online. They're cheaper that way, especially if you've got a collection of masks and you want to make 20 stands. That's definitely the way to go. And I think if you order over $49 worth of stuff from Michaels, shipping is free. So that's another thing. So I've actually got another order of these coming right now. I just ordered 12 more of these, so I could get free shipping. So yeah, there you go. That's how I do the stands. And anybody that is on my wolf list, these guys are coming together this weekend. I will be doing all of the epoxy, and I'll be finishing up them, and all that will be left are the stands. And these guys will be in the mail. So yeah, I hope everybody's having a good weekend so far, even though it's just now Friday evening. Oh, and it was awesome meeting a lot of you guys at Monsterpalooza over the weekend. That was really cool for me. Yeah, have a good weekend, and we will talk to you very, very soon.